Any hints on who we're going to see take place in those matches yet?
Well, look, I mean, obviously we're getting a couple surprises they want to have, but I think look, I think we've got an incredibly diverse and talented roster in NXT. Whether you're talking about Trick Williams, Oba Femi, Javon Evans, Joe Hendry. So look, I think there's a wealth of talent to choose from NXT. I know everybody's chomping at the bit to want to be a part of this, and we're going to find out very soon exactly who those people are going to be.
All right. Obviously, I'm going to talk a little about Ren Sinclair, but we'll talk about her later. But the NXT has a good focus on the women's division lately. Really, ever since you've kind of been in charge, unparalleled across major promotions. You've had entire shows that featured women's matches. It wasn't branded Evolution. It was just NXT on Tuesday. 6 matches, women's. Why is the focus that way, and why is that division so strong?
Well, one, it honestly wasn't a focus, to be perfectly honest. It was just something, and again, that's what I don't know, we're so proud of, is the reality is we didn't try to, have the best women's roster and the deepest women's roster in all of wrestling. It is just something that kind of just naturally happened. As we began, in NXT and the WWE to reach out to all of these D1 athletes. I don't know. It was just something that over time you could just see how quickly that some of the young ladies were adapting to this and understanding it, and quite honestly, becoming very good very quickly. And I think as you see the success of people like Tiffany Stratton, who came in and was a part of NXT, and then how successful she's been on the main roster. I think that encouraged a lot of our young ladies. Obviously, they're hungry, they're passionate, they're extremely competitive as well. And look, NXT has just been a huge beneficiary of again this women's division just being so strong. But I can honestly say it wasn't something we set out to do. It is just something that the women have kind of taken over and controlled for the last year and a half. But I will tell you this, it has certainly inspired the men's side of our division. So now there's an incredibly healthy competition going on in NXT to see who can have the strongest division coming up in 2026.
All right, and several of those women and men seem kind of they're like their main roster ready. Like you could put them on SmackDown, and they're ready now. Lash Legend just moved up. We have Blake Monroe, Jordan Grace, Fallon Henley, Obafemi, Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, tons of others. And of course, Joe Hendry in the background there. What goes into those main decisions on because if they're in the middle of a program or what kind of goes in those decisions for you and Triple H to make and say, okay, we need Lash on SmackDown to team with Nia Jax, and how does that kind of impact you on NXT?
Sure. Well, again, obviously, as we've talked about numerous times, NXT really is the only brand or wrestling brand out there that whose job really it is to do everything they can to uh, get talent over, but then lose them. Not have the ability to create stars and then have them help you. To be able to monetize that in a rating standpoint and in a financial standpoint, our job is to feed the main roster, Raw and SmackDown. That is the juggernaut of the WWE, our main brands, Raw and SmackDown. So NXT's role again is like the NCAA. It's honestly to get our athletes as ready and as clean and as polished as we can before going up to the main roster. And all that list of people, those lists of superstars that you mentioned, are all people who I think anybody could argue are kind of main roster ready, as they say. And that's just proof of how successful NXT has been, not just in the past, as you see the Raw and SmackDown rosters with 95% of the people coming from NXT. You can see that it's going to continue to be filled with NXT people in the future because it's just producing like gangbusters right now.
All right, Kalani Jordan is TNA champ. The Hardys have an NXT run. Joe Hendry's being Joe Hendry. What with this partnership with TNA has been successful, and how have you kind of approached it?
Just that, I think, again, having the ability, it's kind of twofold. One, I think all of us, we sit at home and in the past, you could see different superstars and you would always sort of come up with dream matches, but you knew that they could probably not have the ability or the opportunity to cross paths. Well, now with the partnership with TNA, those are things that we're able to do, and so that has obviously been very big for us at NXT. I think it's been a very special moment for wrestling fans around the country and around the world who watch NXT. To see some matches that they didn't think they'd ever get an opportunity to see. And just the idea of the WWE, NXT, and TNA having a working partnership, I think is something that, again, is something that fans never thought they'd have the opportunity to see. And now they're coming to fruition. So that's one of the things we're obviously most proud of, is trying to bring matchups that people ordinarily wouldn't get to see, but now they do, and we get to do that on NXT. And then, of course, the other side of that is having guys like the Hardys, again, a Jordan Grace, a Joe Hendry, their experience, their name value, and those are all things that can help our young superstars in NXT. So there's kind of been a twofold advantage for us here in NXT, and obviously TNA has benefited from this greatly as well.
All right. Yeah, we've been in a little talking for a little while. We haven't talked about what's coming to San Antonio, of course. NXT deadline December 6th. Just what, 3 weeks from 3 weeks from Saturday, as the WWE likes to say. It's December 6th. San Antonio at the Boeing Techport Center. Iron Survivor, though, is kind of the heart of that NXT pay-per-view or premium live event. Why has that become one of the best style of matches? About what works about that so well, and what's the draw there? Because every time I watch one, I was like, "Well, that's just too convoluted," and then it just comes off and it's amazing.
It really is, and so that's something I have to be honest. As coming up with new concepts, new ideas in this industry now, in 2025 and going into the future, very difficult. But the Iron Survivor Challenge is a concept we came up with a couple of years ago. Um, and on paper, we were really concerned, to your point about it, is that too convoluted? Is it something that people can understand? But the matches that we have put up, as you've noted, have just been fantastic over the years. And that's because I think everybody understands a time limit. And that's very different. A 25-minute time limit is something it's long enough, but it's not so long to like 60 minutes to where you almost it's too drawn out. And so the idea that there's competition going on in that, there's a race against competitors, there's a race against the clock, and then of course having the penalty box and the number of falls, all taking that into account, it has made for an incredibly exciting matchup, which obviously has been, as you said, the heart and soul of Deadline from the very beginning, and it's something we're very proud of because again, it's been incredibly successful, and our superstars have executed it just wonderfully over the last several years. And no doubt on December 6th in San Antonio, they're going to do it again.
All right, we talked about the executing and the time factor. The one that always will stick out in my mind is Trick Williams' win. I don't know how you choreograph or time that perfectly. How hard is it when you're doing something like that? It is time involved, and he has to pick up those wins so quick. How does something like that come about, and how do you trust people to say, okay, he's going to get this done?
Well, look, I'll say this. On one hand, I can do everything I can to have this wonderful idea in my head or in somebody else's head. But then it always is going to come down to the talent being able to deliver on that. And someone who was once a talent and who got a great deal of joy and satisfaction out of delivering on those good ideas is fantastic. But not having any control over that for me is the most anxious thing in the world. But to your point, on that particular night, it was not only a great conceptual idea, but it was executed perfectly. And that just goes again to the hard work, the patience, the trust that our superstars have in us from a creative standpoint, the coaches from a coaching standpoint, and also a belief and confidence in their own ability to be able to deliver when the pressure's on. And that's what everything is about in the WWE. If you want to be a main roster main eventer, if you want to be somebody who's going to headline WrestleMania, it's those kind of big moments that you have to deliver on, to be able to deliver when pressure is at its highest. That's what every elite athlete in any sport, whether it be football, baseball or basketball. Again, Michael Jordan, when there was 10 seconds left on the clock, he wanted the ball. Same with Tom Brady and somebody in our line of work, again, like a Trick Williams or a Javon Evans or Obafemi. They're all guys who are wanting the ball when it's crunch time, and they want to find out if they can deliver on it. And obviously, December 6th, a number of those guys are going to have an opportunity to do that.
All right. Well, someone who performed very well last year, didn't win, Ren Sinclair, trained here in San Antonio for a number of years. How is she involved since she first came to NXT, and what have you kind of seen as she progressed?
We were just actually talking about her the other day, and Ren is one of those people that, from a creative standpoint, is a joy to get to work with because there isn't anything that she can't do. Ren is somebody who has really understood the entertainment aspect of this job while also doing a wonderful job of mastering the inside ring work and having credibility and a belief in one's ability. But then she can go back and do backstages, and she can be serious one minute and then just incredibly funny in the next. And so we're very excited about what we have, here coming up in the very near future for Ren and a number of other people because she's been somebody who's kind of been on the wings there, just right behind that next wave of young ladies coming up. And now in 2026, I can tell you, Ren Sinclair, I think, is going to have a breakout year. We're very excited about that.
All right. Of course, she's trained here in San Antonio, and you've brought in Funaki, who helps run that school, the hybrid school of wrestling, to help out with Julia before. As a San Antonio native, what's it like kind of seeing the wrestling scene still strong and producing talent?
Fantastic. To be perfectly honest, again, just the idea of getting back, getting to come back home is always exciting for me. But more than anything, I appreciate that the wrestling, I don't know, the heritage and just the enjoyment is still there in San Antonio and in the state of Texas altogether. It's something that I grew up on. And sometimes, look, the ebbs and flows of this business, sometimes it can get kind of fatty. And I appreciate the fact that San Antonio has never been that way. Just like they've been loyal and loving to the Spurs for all those years, they've been the same way with the WWE and with NXT. So it's always great to come back to a market you love being a part of and who appreciate you when you do come to town. So not just coming home is going to be a blast for me, but I know our NXT superstars are looking forward to it because it is one of those towns that really enjoys what it is we do. And those are the type of people you always want to go out there and perform your best in front of.
All right, one final question. You, of course, had your own school here for a while, turned out most notably Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan. Now you're in charge of almost every wrestler in WWE's training, much kind of like a Dusty Rhodes was before you. When you started the school here, did you ever dream you'd have such an impact on professional wrestling outside of the ring? Obviously, you had an enormous impact when you're inside the ring.
Yeah, no. Again, it's something that there are times here and there when my wife and I can sit down and talk, and of course, we liken it to a story we used to read our kids called The Three Trees, but you kind of have this idea for the I don't know, the second half of your life. And, in mine, it had something to do with the wrestling school in San Antonio. And you do it for a little bit, but then, that season is gone. And then 20 some odd years later, it happens, but it's in a different way, in a different place, and on a much bigger scale than you ever possibly imagined. And that's where I'm at today, is in a place that I never thought I could possibly be. And it is. I will say that it's something that I love, something that I enjoy, but something that I understand that it's very important that I'm, I don't know, good at my job, responsible. And you're talking about the future of this business, and you're talking about a number of young men and young women that pass through our doors at the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, and making sure, just like John wants to do, on his retirement tour, is leave this business better than when you got into it. And that's something that I want to do as well. And having the opportunity to do that at the Performance Center and with NXT and with these superstars of the future, it's a role that I take very seriously and something that I appreciate very much, and hopefully, we'll do a good job for, many years to come.
All right, Shawn. Well, thank you for joining us again today. Appreciate it. Great. Always nice to talk to you. NXT Deadline, December 6th, San Antonio Boeing Techport Center in San Antonio. Thank you.